Welcome family. In this video we are going to look at question 4 of biology paper 2 for the year 2023. Now the question reads, figure 4 shows the relationship between blood, tissue fluid, cells and lymph. Now this question is coming from the topic of circulatory system. Now circulatory system is just the system that deals with circulation, and if you study this topic carefully, you'd find that there are two systems that forms the circulatory system. The first one, we have cardiovascular system. Then we know that anything to do with the cardio has to do with the heart. Now under cardiovascular system, we have organs like the heart. So this is where the heart is found. The second one, we have the blood vessels, and we have three types of blood vessels. We have arteries, we have veins, and also we have capillaries. Then the third component is the blood. Under blood we have the four components that forms the blood. The first one we have is plasma. Then we have red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. So as you are studying the circulatory system, please make sure you start each component according to its system. Now, what other system can we find in circulatory system? So in circulatory system, we have the lymphatic system that we need to look at, and most of the questions that we have comes from the lymphatic system. Now, what is this lymphatic system? Why do we need a lymphatic system? So there are so many functions, of which the many three functions we'll look at for lymphatic systems. So under the same circulatory system, we have the lymphatic system. Now in the lymphatic systems, here we are expected to at least have knowledge about the first one. We have lymph fluid. So lymph fluid, this is just the fluid inside the lymph vessel. And if you look at structure U, even if we are not, we've not yet started answering the questions, structure U, this is our lymph vessel. Okay, so now the fluid inside this lymph vessel is what is called lymph fluid. Now apart from lymph fluid, under the same lymphatic system you may find lymph vessels. So then the lymph vessels, these are just vessels that drain tissue fluid as lymph back into the blood vessels. Now the lymph vessels have valves, and the functions of the valves is just to prevent the backflow of lymph fluid. Why? Because the flow of lymph fluid in a lymph vessel is in a one-way direction, and the pressure is low, so we need something that should prevent the backflow of the fluid inside this vessel. Then another thing that we have is the lymph node. Then the lymph nodes, if you look at the lymph nodes under the lymphatic system, this has to do with the immune system. So one of the functions of the lymphatic system, it plays the role in immune system. Like for example, the lymph nodes produces the white blood cells that defend the body against diseases. Then under the same, we may have lymphocytes. So lymphocytes, these are just the type of white blood cells that plays a role in immune system. Then we also have the tonsils. The tonsils are also plays the role in immune system. Then we have the spleen. The spleen also makes the white blood cells that defend the body against disease. We also have thymus. the thymus does the same. Now, if we start from the lymph nodes up to thymus, all these works in order to defend the body. So that is why we said that is one of the function of the lymphatic system. It helps in the immune system. Then the second function, let's go back to our diagram, this one. So we have these cells, then in between the cells we have the tissue fluid. Now this tissue fluid, sometimes this tissue fluid may be contaminated, or sometimes there may be too much of the tissue fluid in the tissues, the cells. So we need something that should drain, or that should remove the tissue fluid, so that the new one can replace the old one. So the function of the lymphatic system, the second function of the lymphatic system, it works as a drainage. So it moves the tissue fluid here, and whenever the tissue fluid moves from the tissues into the lymphatic vessel, now that fluid is now known as a lymph fluid. So lymph fluid is just the tissue fluid collected in a lymph vessel. So two functions that we've looked at. The first one, we are saying the lymphatic system helps in the immune system. The second one, it works as a drainage. It drains the tissue fluid. Then the third one, under the lymphatic system, if you look at digestion, the absorption of fats, fatty and glycerol is done by a vessel known as lacteal. So that lacteal vessel is a vessel that is part of the lymphatic system. So the third function of the lymphatic system, it also works under digestion in the absorption of fats in the small intestines. So we've looked at three functions that you need to have in mind as long as you are dealing with the lymphatic system. Now, the other thing that we need to look at here is there are some parts where we cannot find the lymphatic system. So parts where the lymphatic system is not found is the brain. So the brain has no lymphatic system. Then the spinal cord has no lymphatic system also. Then any cartilaginous material has no lymphatic system. In the bones, we have no lymphatic system. Teeth also. So these are organs where you cannot expect to have the lymphatic system. Then apart from these organs, then the rest of the body may have the lymphatic system. Now, since we have shared one or two about the lymphatic system, let's have the answer. So the question number 1A, identify structures U. So structure U is a lymph vessel. Sometimes you may find it as a lymphatic vessel. Then what of our T? Our T, this is a vein. Now this is just a venue, because this is a vein when it is when it is in a smaller size. So whenever a blood vessel is coming or going direct into the tissues, it reduces in size. So the reduction of those vessels in size also changes the names. Like the arteries, if you look at vessel R, so vessel R is an arteriole because it is smaller than the actual artery. So now let's look at the question B1. Name one nutrient represented by S. Okay, so the blood that is coming through vessel R contains useful materials, which we refer to as the nutrients. So as this blood is coming, these nutrients must diffuse into the tissue fluid, then from the tissue fluid into the tissues or into the cells so that they can do their work. That's why the function, one of the function of the tissue fluid, it acts as a transport of materials from the blood vessels into one cell and into another cell. And the reverse also is true. Now, if you look at the arrow, so whenever the arrow is pointing from the blood vessel into the tissues, we are looking at materials that are needed by the cell. So what can these be? So the materials that can be is the first one, oxygen. Why? We know that oxygen is a requirement by the cell to do a certain work. Then apart from oxygen, we have glucose. It can be glucose. Apart from glucose, this can also be proteins. So the easiest way we can look at here is that the arrow bringing materials from the blood into the tissue represents the nutrients that is needed by the cell. But if the case where the arrow is coming from the tissue fluid or from the cells into the blood vessels, then consider this one to be the waste product. So the waste product must be removed. Now the waste product or products may include carbon dioxide. Then we have ammonia, urea, stuff like that. So whenever you see an arrow coming out of the cell into blood vessels, that is an indication that whatever waste product you are dealing with is being removed. Now for Roman number 2, compare the blood pressure at R to that at T and give a reason for your answer. So at R, this point here, the blood pressure is very high, while at T, the blood pressure is low. So say the blood pressure at R is very high, whereas at T is very low. Then reason that we can give here is, we can say because the one that is bringing is an artery, so we can say because arteries carry blood at high pressure. Arteries carry blood at high pressure. Then the second one, the other importance of the pressure. So the pressure in blood at R can help the nutrients to diffuse out of blood into the tissue or into the cells. So that pressure also helps the materials to move. So that is what we can say. Then we move on to the last question. Explain the role of structure U in relation to blood circulatory system. So let's look at U. We say the U is a lymph vessel. Now, if you look at what happens after the tissue fluid has been drained. So let's say we extend this blood vessel here. So this lymph vessel at one point should connect back to a blood vessel. That's why the lymphatic system, after draining the tissue fluid, it has to take it back into the blood. Now, before the lymph fluid reaches the blood vessel, let's maybe consider this one. Let's just say this is a police station. So this station, this point, there should be a point where whatever that is passing through this lymph vessel must be inspected, must be inspected to make sure that whatever that is returning in the blood must be clean and safe for blood for a person to have a health. So this police station can be parts like the immune system, because we say the immune system under the lymphatic system is there to protect the body. So after the drainage has been done, there has to be an inspection for whatever that is passing through the blood, the lymph vessel. So that is what we can view as a police station. So let's view police station as these organs that are producing white blood cells, the one that we refer to as the immune system. Now, in relation with blood, structure U is that it transports a fluid, and at a certain point, the same fluid must be returned in the blood vessel. So explain the role of structure U in relation to blood circulatory system. So say structure U is a lymph vessel which transports collected tissue fluid from the tissues to the blood vessels. So in relation with to blood circulatory system, it has to do with the movement. We know that circulation is just a movement. So that structure U, which is the lymph vessel, transports collected tissue fluid known as the lymph fluid from the tissues then back to the blood vessel. So that's what we can say. But you can just study as much. There is more to know about this topic. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.